The month of August came and went without passage of a coronavirus relief bill. That is despite the loss of eviction protections and expanded unemployment benefits for hundreds of thousands of people nationwide. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin is part of the White House's negotiating team. He is testifying before the House coronavirus panel today. The subcommittee is led by House Democrats. They passed their own $3 trillion aid bill back in May. Today's hearing is to examine the need for additional economic relief and to look at how the administration has implemented stimulus programs. CBS News political reporter Grace Segers joins me now. Welcome, Grace. Wonderful to have you with us. So, before today's hearing, the Democrats on this subcommittee raised preliminary analysis of loans from the Paycheck Protection Program. They say more than $1 billion in loans went to companies that received multiple loans, which was prohibited by the rules of the program, and that fraud experts say the program is fertile ground for fraud. What else do they allege, and what are they hoping to find out from Mnuchin?
So this report found multiple instances where there is a high risk of potential fraud or waste. So we saw that hundreds of companies received loans who may have been flagged as not being able to work for the government. They have been forbidden to do work with the government and yet still received a loan, which is against the PPP rules. You saw other companies receive loans even though other government databases showed that they had red flags. Some contractors received loans even though they have previously had issues with integrity. So really, there are a whole bunch of loans ultimately in the billions of dollars, which have been received, which may not have been deserved. And so I think that the Democratic lawmakers on the committee in particular are going to be asking about whether there can be oversight for these loans, for the administration of these loans, and how the government might be able to correct some of this.
Right. Well, this is just upsetting for any taxpayer to hear. Grace, is there any way to get some of that public money back, or is it just gone?
It's hard to say. We saw early in the administration of PPP that some of the larger companies who received the loans gave them back to the government, and then the Treasury Department revised the guidelines. But it is dependent on people returning the loans, companies returning the loans. And something that Democrats are complaining about is that the Small Business Administration only audits loans which are over $2 million, meaning that the vast majority of loans are going unchecked. So without this sort of auditing power and without know who is really getting what, it's hard to say whether these loans can be returned and whether this money can be given back.
So, Grace, looking forward, where do things stand on relief bill negotiations? Because, September 1, rent is due today for a lot of people. Is there any hope that help could be coming from the federal government soon?
Unfortunately, probably not. We are seeing Democrats and officials in the White House are just as far away as they were last month, which is really concerning for the millions of Americans who have lost their jobs or are on the precipice of being evicted because of the financial turmoil from the pandemic. So we're expecting Treasury Secretary Mnuchin, who is appearing before Congress today, to talk about maybe getting back together with Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, and looking at negotiations again. But where things are, it seems like both positions are just standing very still, and they're not really willing to reach a compromise at the moment. So unfortunately, I think that unless something drastic changes in the next few weeks, we're not going to be seeing another relief bill.
It's looking like a difficult fall for many then. Grace Segers, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.